Minasan, konnichiwa, Zamurai Engineer desu. In this webinar series, we are now on Module 2.2. We are discussing NFPA101 Life Safety Code. I am your professor, Dr. A.P. Zantua, an alumni of Polytechnic University in Japan as a Japanese government scholar. And again and again, we are going to start with the goal of the book of the code. The Life Safety Code addresses specific requirements on safety to life, mission continuity, and property protection in both new construction and existing buildings. We have different parts in our webinar series. We are currently on module number 2, Core Chapters. So we have all these different tables of contents listed around the lower left corner. We have about 12. And we'll start with the module 2.2, special structures. Previously, we explained about prescriptive code fundamentals. Now, we're going to special structures and HRB. What is HRB? HRB means high-rise building, special structure, and high-rise building. So this prescriptive code requirement is located on Chapter 11. Chapter 11 states that special structures and high-rise building, there are 6 sections. Okay. So there are 6 sections here, plus another 6. So there are a total of 12 sections. So let us start with section 1.11.1, general requirements. So again, each and every chapter have general requirements, starting and do. And section number 2, open structures, starting with different types of special structure. Structure is a general term, broader than building. So a structure could be a building or could be a non-building or a system not for human beings, no? Not for the use of human beings. For the purpose of what? Occupying it, for the purpose of living with it, for the purpose of roaming around with it. That is not a type that we usually talk about in engineering. Mostly, we are going to talk of occupancy, meaning there are persons, there are human beings roaming around, living in that structure. So those structures that are not for that purpose is what we call just unstructured. So therefore, unstructured could mean a building and unstructured, right? So for lack of a better word, we are using that in engineering field. So another special structure is tower. You'll notice open structure in 11.2, 11.3 tower. almost the same, open structure, tower. So there are structures that do not have open, meaning it could have been a structure without walls, a structure without uh, roofings, and similar structures. So what we call open structure. What about towers? Of course, towers usually do not have walls. They do not have roofs. So towers could, for example, you could familiarize yourself, look at the communication lines tower, look at the power system tower. They're just what? Collection of elements connected together and put up in a particular way so that it could what? It could support something. For example, the Wi-Fi tower is there to support the disk, so the distribution, Wi-Fi distribution element, no? Or in a television station, the what? The broadcast disk, no? So that device have to be supported up there so that it could what? Could be distributed for a bigger area. Okay? If it is put just on the floor, could not go to far flung areas. No? So that means there are necessity for towers to be there. For example, power lines tower have to be put up there because of its danger to lives, could cause risk to human beings and properties. So have to be put up there to minimize accident, incident, and the like. So there are several reasons for towers to be there. And the next one is water surrounded structures. Those structures that are used and in what? In direct contact with water, water surrounded structures. Related to it is piers, no? 11.5 and 11.6, vehicles and vessels. So vehicles and vessels, as you would recall, we stated that the scope of the code involves not only buildings, structures, but also vehicles and vessels. So these are what? Special structures. They are called special structures in this code. Okay. And 11.7, underground structures and limited access structure. There are some sorts of that. For example, parking lots underground. Okay? There are parking areas that are usually accessible by the drivers, with the human being. But there are special areas with parking spaces automated. The car would be parked in a certain manner in a specific spot, then it will automatically, after the driver get up the car, it will automatically be located somewhere under the ground. There are spaces for what? Sort of holes, no? parking holes. Okay, parking holes, automated. So automatically, it will, and then when the driver arrives and want to get his car, so he will what? Push buttons, indicate that he's now waiting on the upper ground. Then the cars that is being automatically parked underground will be what? Retrieved. So those kind of things are called special and could pose dangers also because fire could break out from that area without everybody knowing because there are no human beings up there. So down there, okay, so it could start. It could be an area that could start a fire. So there are what requirements from the code. High-rise building, very special. The chapter 11 is titled Special Structure and High-rise building. So high-rise building is a very prominent application nowadays. Okay? So nowadays, as the land prices becomes higher and higher, becomes more and more expensive, the development is going up rather than going sideways, going horizontal. So going up, taller and taller buildings being built every day. Permanent membrane structure and temporary membrane structures. Tents, animal housing facilities. They are included in special structures. So you notice this is the only chapter fundamentals with prescriptive code requirements. So special chapter, special discussion, explanation, how how this chapter relates to others and what to expect about the chapters. Again, we would like to ask you, help us piece of fund our advocacy of free tutorial videos, particularly for engineering education. Please like, share, and subscribe. Post an ad if you will for minimum sponsorship fee, and you can use our contact details. Again, this is Dr. AP, preaching engineering for nation building.